And we are back. And today we are going to take a look at this brand new ICS SAR9 Gen 2. So, there are some PT folks out there. They are not a big fan of this. All you need to do is just shake it, it's back. And take a look at this 9, it's the same exact story. Once you rack the slide backwards, release it, it happens like this. However though, check this part out. I'm going to take the mag out as well, and I'm going to rack the slide backward and release it as slow as possible. You see the difference? And this is the system that we're going to talk about today. The ICS Sarsılmaz SAR9 Upgrading Kit. Alright, so these will be the following tools that will be used for upgrading the SAR9 Gen 2. Now let's move on to the brand new parts. And this is something that we don't need to worry about mixing up with the old parts because these are just brand new parts. So the first one, this is the contact lever pin. And the contact lever pin, it's, you know, how it puts together your things. It's very small, so make sure you don't lose it, okay? Now, move on to the next one. This is the hammer contact lever. This thing is made out of steel, which is incredibly strong, and you don't need to worry about this thing wearing out or not. And there's this small cut, and later on we'll show you how to assemble everything together, okay? And this is the nozzle spring. The nozzle spring is new as well, and yeah, we improved the efficiency on this thing, and it's actually very hard to tell the difference. So just throw your old one away and make sure to keep this one. And this is the nozzle spring pin, and basically you just tuck the pin in and then install it into your nozzle, and later on we will show you how exactly everything is put together. Last but not the least, this is the contact lever spring, and installing the contact lever spring is a little bit tricky, but it's also not too hard, and we will show you later on. And that's about it for the new parts. Okay, now let's update our good old SAR9. So first of all, you always want to take the magazine out, set it aside, and then for this part, it's separated into a top part and the lower part. So we're going to take the slide out first. So what you need to do, you see this little latch right here. You want to rack the slide backwards, hold this part down, and push it forward. Then now we're going to be separated. I'm going to start with the upper part because it's the easier part. So what I need to do is first take the recoil spring out. Take the barrel out. Cool. Now this part, this is the part we need to work on. Okay. So first of all, let's start with the screwdriver. I'm gonna take that screw and take it out. Okay. So once I got the screw out, I can take this entire assembly out. You will see that little spring right there. You don't need that anymore. You can take it away. And then for the loading nozzle, you can kind of set it aside. We still need that. This little rubber, make sure you don't lose that. Set it here too. And now let's take the old piston head housing out. So let's grab the Allen key, the small Allen key, and then we can loosen this screw right here. Let's loosen it. Okay. Now let's take the screw out, and we can take the housing out. And we can set these two aside because we don't need these guys anymore. So bye guys. And now let's grab. This is the brand new SAR9 loading nozzle housing. And this is the part where we did the most of changes. As you can see that now there's this concave, and also we drilled a hole here so the mechanism can actually go in. And let's do a very quick comparison. This is the old piece that I swap out. And as you can see that, yes, there's no concave, and also on the side there's no hole, so it's actually pretty easy to tell the difference of these two. This is the new housing. This is the new piston head housing, and as you can see that on the side we do have this part machined out. This is because we need the contact lever to move freely, otherwise it will get jammed. And so in comparison to the old one, you will see that the old one wouldn't have the cut, so make sure you use a new one. So starting from the easier side, just tuck this rubber back on and it's good to go. Later on, it's the same way that you install the old parts. Okay, I'm gonna put the screw back in. Tighten it. Now, this part is good. Okay, here comes the slightly tricky part, the contact lever. So for the contact lever that I'm gonna show you, this is the contact lever right here. And you see there's this little concave. Now the way we put it on is we're gonna take this little spring right here. Also the contact lever, you see the little concave, you wanna set the spring right here, set it up like that, okay? Now, putting it in, it's gonna also be slightly tricky. You wanna hold on to the contact lever and also the spring itself. Hold on to it like this. You see the cave here? You wanna put it in carefully, okay? All right, once you got it in, I can use something small, like a little small pin or something. Make sure that the hole right here is aligned. Currently, it's not aligned, so I'm gonna tuck it in and I'll play around, make sure that, okay, this contact lever is fully aligned with the spring and it springs back. Now you know the hole is aligned. So kind of hold on to it, hold it out. Now let's take the small pin right here and tuck it back in. Okay, kind of move it around to make sure that it goes in properly. Okay. So once this thing is in, that you want to make sure this part is flush. Otherwise, there's no way this thing is gonna go back inside the slide. So keep that in mind, okay? Make sure this part works. Okay, now let's put everything back. So you want to put the loading nozzle back on, and we got the little spring, and also the small pin. So you want to put those two together, and the pin facing forward. Set it up like that. Okay, now hold on to it, grab the slide, back on, and here we go. It's back. And all you need to do is just screw the screw back on. Okay, now the upper portion is ready. Okay, and what you need to do is just simply put the barrel back in and then the recoil spring. Alright, this part is all set. Let's set it here. Now, let's move on to the lower part. The parts that we need to change. It's the mechanism right here and also the little roller. So I will teach you guys how to take this part. So let's remove the little screw first. You want to keep that, don't lose it. Later on, you want to, for this little plastic piece, you want to put your finger right here, kind of hold on to it. You don't want the little spring flying out. You can pull it out and then take this part out, okay? And we got this little pin here. You want to push this metal piece down and then tap the pin out. And later on, you will see the little spring and the locking mechanism. Now, one more thing you need to do is to tap the pin out. Tap it from left to the right, okay? So I'm gonna grab my tool, pin tabber, just tap. Now the pin is out. And the way I take it out, I would hold on to it like this because there are some small parts and the springs. I don't want that to fly everywhere. So take that out, hold on to it like that. And I can set my grip aside, okay? Let's carefully remove the small parts. Also this little metal piece. Let's take it out, okay? Now what we need to do is to take those two, to loosen those two screws. So I'm gonna use an Allen key and loosen it. And in order to like release it, I would release the hammer first, or release the tension. Makes it a lot easier to open. This part is out. Carefully take it apart. Trigger this off here. And then the little roller, you don't need this part anymore. No. However, that on the new ones, since we already got the hammer contact, so this way we no longer need that cut. I mean, both of the roller works, but we kind of just recommend using the one on the right hand side. So put on, you're ready for this side. trigger, you can kind of just shove it back on and set it to the side. Now this part is ready. Now let's swap this piece out. So in order to take that out, you want to loosen this screw. Once you got this part out, you can kind of just push it out. Grab this. You need the spring and this locking mechanism. And for this piece, you can say bye-bye to it. You don't need it anymore. The new one, overall, it looks just about the same. However, when you switch it to this side, you will see that there's this cut right here. So what is this cut for? This cut is actually used for the hammer contact lever to go through. So without this cut, your slide won't even go in. And let's do a very quick comparison on these two parts. Once you take a look at it, you can see that the cut is very obvious. So make sure you don't mess those one up. Otherwise, you will have a very hard time to put your slide in to the gun, okay? The way to install it, you see there's a flat piece right there. And what I need to do is just tuck this part in, okay? Make sure that it sits in place. And after that, I'm gonna take the same spring from here. Tighten. Okay, once you tighten it, you kind of like move it around, make sure that it works, functions. And then you can add a little bit of grease to here if needed. So once you got that done, we're pretty much ready at this point. You want to grab the left piece and also the right piece, cover that up. Make sure that everything sits together. Grab the screws. Let's tighten the screws. Tighten this part. Also this part right here. Okay. Put the lever back on, and for this metal piece right here, put it down like this and then push the trigger slightly forward. Make sure it sits flush to the side. Okay, now also this part. Little spring. Okay, this mechanism right here is ready. Usually I would recommend holding it like this before you set it into the pistol grip. Okay. Now there's something that you need to pay attention to. It's the pistol grip. The newer version, I mean, the small part got chipped off slightly. And despite the fact that for the upgrade kit, it doesn't include the new pistol grip. However, that all you can do is use an X-Acto blade and chip off a small piece of plastic, and it's gonna work just fine. And then what you do is you can take this X-Acto blade and then we can do the cutting, and make sure, be careful, don't put your finger to it. So you want to start the cut like right here. You can kind of measure it, use a pencil and mark it, and then let's do this cut first. All right, once you got this cut, now you want to cut it from the side. Make sure you don't put your finger like that because it's very likely you're gonna cut yourself. So I'm gonna cut it like this. Do it very slowly, and I don't recommend having the blade too long. Okay, let's cut it. Okay, once you cut it deep enough, this part is gonna fall off. Okay, now this thing is trimmed. Let's put everything back together. Okay, I'm gonna hold on to it like that, making sure that everything sits together. Put it in like that. Okay, and I'm gonna start with the screw at the rear. Right here, this one. Tighten the screw. Now, the locking mechanism is the little screw. I'm gonna hold it like that. Put it in. Okay, you want to make sure that the little screw, there's this little hole right here. You gotta make sure that this thing goes in there. Otherwise, it will be too high and it wouldn't fit. Okay, let me set it again. Now, when it's in, you want to push this thing in, push it inwards, and then we got this pin, tuck it right through. And now this thing is pretty much set. For the plastic piece, just go over it, push it down. You want to push this part down, push the pin, and make sure that everything moves freely. Okay, now for this point, that you can add a little bit of silicone grease to it. You can add it here to the roller. also to whatever parts, joints that actually moves that you can add to it. Make sure that everything functions. Okay. One last step: pin. The panel you want to tug it right here, and then let's take the punch the pin back. Now everything is back. Make sure everything functions. And after that, when everything moves freely, moves slow, it moves smoothly, then just simply tuck in the magazine and make sure there's no rounds inside. Do a test fire. That's pretty much it. Upgrade Kit ICS SAR 9 version 2.